Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel, Gospel Simplicity. It's a place where we are passionate about the beautiful simplicity and transformative power of the gospel, the good news about Jesus. We're out to talk about life, Jesus, and the journey of faith in a real, honest, and open way. So if that at all interests you and you haven't already, I'd really encourage you to hit subscribe down below to become a part of what we're doing here on this channel. Well guys, we are jumping back into our Elements of Faith series. Last week we talked about faith of the head. And if you haven't seen that video already, I'll link it and you should go check it out to kind of be up to speed on where we're at here in this series. But the heart of this series is trying to cultivate a holistic faith. We're talking about how we're a new creation in Christ, and that means all of us is changed by faith. And we're looking at this as kind of like a tripod, that a holistic faith is built on three primary legs. You have faith of the head, faith of the heart, and faith of the hands. And if you take a tripod and you take a leg out, it's going to fall. Or even if you shorten one leg, like the tripod that my camera is sitting on right now, if I shorten that front leg, the camera would go, or if I shorten the back leg, it would go like that. And that is not what we want for our faith. We want our faith to stand secure, to stand balanced, to have a holistic faith of the head, the heart, and the hands. So today we're going to be jumping into faith of the heart, because as we explored last week, faith is a matter of the head as well. But like this tripod, it's not just one of them by itself. So faith isn't just a matter of learning, but it's also a matter of loving. And so what I want to talk about is the natural emotional response we should have towards God, the love we should have in our hearts for Him. Because some of us, we tend to be a little more intellectual. We might know a lot of ologies. We can talk theology and ecclesiology and pneumatology and all these things, and we've got a verse for that, and we've got like a book to reference for that, and that's great, and I love that. You know, I'm a Bible college student. I'm a theology major. Like that, I love that. But some of us, we can get stuck up in our head. We can be in the ivory tower of theology and forget the true core of what we're doing. That we are to be lovers of God because of all that He has done for us. And likewise, some of us, we might just be more practical. We might be like faith of the hands people. We're doers, and that's great. But we can't do that without a heart for God, or we're going to burn out, or it's just going to become empty works. And so what does it look like to truly love God? I want to direct your attention to stories that you see in Luke 7 and in John 12. Scholars believe these are two separate accounts, though very similar, that talk about anointings of Jesus, where women come and pour oil on Jesus. And in Luke 7, we see this woman who comes and wipes Jesus' feet with her hair, with her tears, because she is so moved by what Jesus has done for her. She is a person who has led a sinful life, and Jesus has forgiven her, and it has so captured her heart that we see this beautiful picture of what it means to love Jesus. Sometimes loving Jesus looks crazy. I mean, honestly, like the people who were sitting there that day, the Pharisees asked Jesus, like, do you know what this woman's doing? Do you know who she is? But when God has done something in our hearts, it moves us to display extravagant love because we understand the insanity of what God has done for us. It's our natural response. We should have affection towards God. We should be moved because of what He has done for us. And likewise in John 12, we see another very similar story where all this oil is poured out on Jesus that costs so much. And some of the disciples in this story and parallel stories, they're like, why would she do that? Like this is a year's wages. Why would she do that? But sometimes we do things that don't make sense when we're in love. And I don't want to use too much of like romantic terms because it is different, but there is some similarities that when we understand what God has done for us, we are moved to do things that don't always make sense. It's an extravagant love for God, and that should be a natural response when we see what He's done for us. You see, 1 John 4:19 outlines this really well. It tells us that we love God because He first loved us. That is the core of this. We see what God has done for us through Jesus on the cross specifically, and we can't help be moved to love Him and love others because we've just sat under the waterfall of God's love for us. This past semester for one of my classes, we had 90 days to read the entire Bible. And as I went through the Old Testament in such a fast portion of time, something that I was constantly reminded of is that we don't only see God's love on the cross. Yes, that is the primary place we see it, and it is the most beautiful display of love the world has ever seen. But the entire story of the Bible, the entire narrative arc, is a redemptive story in which we constantly rebel against God, and yet He never gives up on us. And if that doesn't move our hearts, then we've become hardened to the beauty of this story. Because the biblical story is one in which God creates a good world. He breathes life into us. He places us in the garden, and then we choose to rebel. And then the Israelites, he takes them out of Egypt, and what's the first thing they do when they get out of Egypt? They want to go back. They want to turn back to other gods. But God doesn't give up on them. And we see, and the Judges, read the book of Judges. That's an awesome book to see. Like, oh, they love God, things go well, and they're back to not loving God and following idols. And oh, they're doing well. Yet God is constant. When we are unfaithful, still God is faithful. And that is a truth that should capture our emotions. Our emotions are part of our growth. Sometimes we think faith is just a matter of the head, or sometimes faith is just a matter of the hands. But no, like all of us, it's a holistic transformation, and our heart should be captured by the love of God. I really like Revelation 2:2-5. And in Revelation 2, we see the letters written to the 7 churches. And specifically in this passage, we see the letter to Ephesus. And there's this really insightful piece of this letter that I think really speaks to a lot of us, especially those of you who maybe are in ministry and you do a lot of faith of the hands, or maybe you're got a lot of intellect for God, but you've lost that faith of the heart. And what it says in here is, I've seen how you've worked. I've seen all that you've done, speaking to this church, God speaking to them. But he says this: you've lost your first love. And for that, he rebukes them. And this is why I want to encourage you. Sometimes we can get so caught up in doing things for God or knowing things about God that we lose our first love. That's where it all starts. It starts with a love for God. That we see, God, you are good. God, you are worthy of all that I have. I give you my life. That is what it means to follow Christ. We surrender ourselves to him. And because we're so moved by what he's done, it's not just like, the cross. Yes, I believe that happened and it looks good. It's so much more than that. It's, God, I'm a sinner in need of your grace, and thank you for sending your son to die on my behalf. I am so unworthy, God. I give you all of me. Thank you, God, for your grace that is unearned, undeserved. That is where we start. That is the spark. And yes, like, I want you to, have good answers in your head for matters of theology and matters of doctrine and all that. And yes, I want you to do things with your hands and work out your faith, work out your love in tangible ways. But we can't lose our first love. And that's my biggest encouragement to you with this video, to love God with all your heart, as it says in Deuteronomy 6:5. It's a command from God. Love God. And why should we love God? Because when we love God, we are transformed into his image. When we love God, we are loving the highest ideal in life. We are loving the epitome of goodness. And slowly, he begins to transform us into his own image and to the image of his son. We love God because of who he is, because he alone is worthy of it. We love God because he first loved us by sending his son to die on our behalf. And when we fully grasp what he has done for us, when we fully grasp how undeserving we are and how deserving he is of all praise, all that is left is for us to well up with love in our hearts for him, because he is faithful, he is good, and he loved us first. That's what faith of the heart is all about. Not just faith of the head, not just faith of the hands, but faith of the heart as well, our very first love. It's not just a matter of learning, it's not just a matter of doing, but it's also a matter of loving. So guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Truly, that means so much to me. If you were standing right there, I would shake your hand and let you know how much I appreciate you. It means the world to me that you would take time out of your day to watch this video. And I truly, truly, truly hope that it's making a difference in your life, that it's helping you build that sturdy tripod in which you can have a holistic faith of the head, the heart, and the hands. And that these videos are moving you along in your faith journey. That's what this is all about. So thank you. Thank you for being a part of this channel. If you did enjoy this video, I'd encourage you to click like on the video, leave me a comment down below letting me know what you thought, and as always, if you haven't already, I'd encourage you to subscribe to become a part of what we're doing here on this channel. But until next time, I want to let you know to be on the lookout for more videos. We'll be wrapping up this series next week with Faith of the Hands. Really excited for that. And until then, go out and love God and love others, because that will change the world. Peace. Love you guys so much. See you next time.